Have you noticed that everything we're doing in this course is all about names? That in fact names are the central theme that runs through everything we've done in this class, and in fact the art and science of naming, I think, may be the best way of describing the art and science of information management. Information structure itself is simply just an exercise in crafting the right names to describe a kind of information. Let's start from the very beginning. The idea of an information type. What is an information type? An information type is no more than a name that clarifies a kind of information, a sort of information that you intend to manage and deliver. That's an information type. What does the information type consist of? It consists of another series of names, all of the attributes or the sub-qualities that those names have. So we have names and the relationships between names. The names capture a vast amount of information. The title of a book, for example, is an effective way of capturing all the information that's in that book. Now, I think it goes beyond simply just it's a tag, it's a moniker. I think it's a crystal. So have you ever heard the idea that snowflakes and hail and all that sort of stuff that's ice in the sky forms around maybe a speck of dust? It's the kind of the bottom, the base to which a lot of other stuff sticks, and that's how a snowflake is formed, and that's how I think that's how a snowflake is formed. Anyway, it's certainly how a piece of hail is formed. A small dust speck or something like that in the atmosphere provides a place where ice can crystallize, and the ice continues to crystallize, and then it crystallizes and crystallizes, and more stuff gathers around that central nugget. And for us, the central nugget is a name. It's something that holds or is able to be a label or a moniker or an access point for a vast amount of information. So names are hugely important. We started with the idea of an information type. An information type is simply a named kind of information. So the first move we make in structuring information is to name it. Then we say that information type consists of a set of attributes or elements. Each of those attributes and elements is also a named thing. It's a named thing that contains or allows us to define a certain value, a certain attribute, a certain quality of that kind of information. All of our different access structures rely entirely on names. Inside of a hierarchy is simply a set of names that fall into relationship to other names. So it's not only the names that are important to us, it's the relationship between the names. But the names are fundamental. And in fact, we have certain levels of naming, and that naming can be then further decomposed, and that's shown in a hierarchy. At the top of the hierarchy are the first level of headings, and those levels of headings name all the things inside them. But then those names break down into subnames, and the subnames may break down into even further subnames. That categorization, that capturing of information inside of names and subnames, that's the idea of a hierarchy. The idea of an index is using a small number of key or significant words to point to a larger body of words, a larger quantity of words that are captured by the few words that you've chosen to index them under. Cross-references or associational structures are linked between each other by a name. It's the name of the relationship. The relationship between two items is named by the in the case of a link, by the hot text that connects those two items. So we have this idea of names. They're hugely important. And the art of naming, I think, is the art of information management, and it's an art, it's a skill that you should cultivate because it'll come in very handy. Of course, if you're going into the field of taxonomy, then that's what you'll be doing all day long. Literally, is naming things. But what I want you to see is that art of naming things goes way beyond simply creating taxonomies and is itself the basis of all information management. So names are a pretty powerful thing. Names are amazing, and I think names are an essential element of how human beings can deal with the world around them. Once we put a name on something, we've captured it, we've quantized it, we've datatized it, we've provided a locus where we can gather other information around it, where we can gather relationships to other kinds of information, and in so doing, hi there, in so doing we can create a framework that organizes our information as well as allows it to be effectively delivered.